Chapter 7, Mount of Olymp.
Mount Olymp was an educational camp for young adults aged 16 to 18 from 12 families with gene-based powers. A mandatory 6-month stay was required during this age range, dedicated to studying a diverse curriculum. This included gene mutations, power distribution, politics, family relations, business tactics, and international laws, to name just a few of the subjects covered. This was, in a way, an exchange for high school for rich kids. The camp had 2 specific rules. Firstly, revealing one's personal origins and family history in any way was prohibited. Secondly, the use of powers was strictly forbidden as much as possible and must not be overtly displayed. Those rules have been passed to protect privacy and stop any rifts between participants. Honestly, that ended up being a fun game, guessing and trying to hide your true background. There were 7 of us in my group, and there were 12 groups or cabins in total. From the first day of camp, Mai and I were in the same one, and the 2 of us stuck together most of the time. Even though studying was not a problem for either, I was not as perfect as her. I had to take extra stage speaking lessons because I wasn't a good speaker. My speech and expression were too unrefined and too direct, which didn't align with the status we held. I believe I was more resistant to that formal style of communication than unable to learn it. Everything felt lifeless, disingenuous, and forced when I had to express myself formally, and that clashed with my teenage convictions. One other girl from my cabin also had to go, so that made me feel better. She was nice, but we didn't hang out outside of class much. Her name was Vila, and she was an even worse speaker than I. Staying with her during classes made me feel like I wasn't a failed case in that area. I also remember one guy from our group, whose name was Tony. He was such a cutie with his long hair and blue eyes, and at times, he made me rethink my preference for women. Tony didn't excel in anything in particular. Collecting flowers and drying them for his album was his hobby, better said, addiction, and that totally ruined his manly picture. The rest of my friends I sadly forgot, at least their names. Like I wanted to forget that part of life for some reason. Did it ever happen to you that the most beautiful part of your life slowly turned to torture and pain as you knew you could never go back to it? It just makes you realize how empty your daily life is. Our classes were often held in nature. They believed that learning outdoors enhanced cognitive abilities. I definitely preferred that kind of lecture. It was very hard for me to keep still and concentrate. I constantly changed my sitting position, which could be easily distracting in a closed space. Outside, I was freer. I still clearly remember a big Scots pine tree, the cones that often fell onto our 2 wooden tables, where we sat watching the blackboard that leaned against its bare trunk. The tree did its job, providing us with wonderful shade and protection, and its needles were our mischievous tools for poking each other. We had 2 to 3 hours of lectures each day, with exams every Sunday. It was a pass-fail system, with no grades. Tony. I gestured for him to come over. Stop playing with those flowers. The teacher is almost here. I'm not getting in trouble because of some flowers. I was especially annoyed by people who were slow and took forever to do anything. Without even looking at us, Mai commented, "Both of you should calm down." Her voice was like velvet carried by a mountain breeze to our blessed ears. Her fingers gently sifted through the pages of her notebook, her eyes barely visible beneath her sunglasses. A simple yet striking silver necklace descended along her chest, and a few strands of hair that had escaped her tight ponytail were dancing in the breeze. I often watched her, but she rarely noticed me. I could have looked at her forever. She was stunningly beautiful, but her intimidating aura kept everyone from telling her so. I don't know how you can love flowers and at the same time kill them for fun, I said, so both could hear me. That idiot was still poking around the nearby bush. I don't kill them, it's called preserving, he said, his hand going through the tall grass, stopping if anything caught his attention. After I dry them, people can admire them for ages. He slowly started to approach us, carrying a few pieces of field flowers in his hand like it was a bridal bouquet. I turned to Mai for approval. Mai, do you hear him? He can't be serious. Not waiting for her answer, I shouted in his direction. Do you really think people will be interested in your flower album? I thought you also liked flowers, Mai said to me, calmly, looking somewhere in the distance, her hand resting on her closed notebook. I do, but I like to plant them and see how they grow and bloom, I said, looking at the edge of the desk, mumbling. It's exciting to wait for them to show their true colors and shapes. You seem to me like a bigger flower lover than Tony. That's not true. I don't have a flower book, so I quickly pointed at Tony. He is definitely weirder. In a hushed voice, I added over Mai's shoulder, and he is a guy, it would be more appropriate if he were into rocks. This made both of us laugh, making her finally turn to me. I didn't say it was weird to like flowers. We all like different things. I didn't have anything to add, and Tony finally returned to our bench. Mai seemed uninterested as Tony carefully arranged the small flowers into thin plastic sleeves, placing them in his album. You are a girl, but it doesn't seem like boys interest you much, she made the statement with a sly smile. Mai, I hissed. How dare she say this in front of Tony? She was respected in camp, and everyone valued her opinion. Mai had that confident and disciplined aura and simply gave the impression of a person you can rely on and trust. After the camp, I did some digging on my own. When I found out she was from the main branch of the NYX family, her character made much more sense to me. During those 6 months, Mai and I developed a special relationship, and, nearing the end of our experience, I made her promise me one thing. I plan to do something crazy, dangerous, and if I ever go through with it, I want you to support me. In a mostly empty dining hall, Mai was huffing as I controlled her food tray, moving it out of her reach. Listen, I'm being serious. There was no way I wouldn't fall for a girl like her. She was the first woman I fell in love with, but our life and relationship were complicated on so many levels that I couldn't envision our future together, so I stopped my mind from going in that direction. I was content with her being happy and safe. Everything else was unreasonable to ask.
October 15th, Year 311, the Mount of Olymp, Youth Camp. I believe I've successfully assigned everyone from my cabin to their correct families. It just takes a keen eye for detail and the ability to sort through information. Each family has its distinct patterns and traits. I'm still struggling with one girl, though. I need to figure it out if I want to be a good detective,